everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do the VR to Lisa Pepez, which is the 21 tarot questions. Now, I might cheat a little bit and add an oracle in here and there because I have quite a vast oracle collection, and all of these videos and stuff tend to be about just tarot, which is awesome, don't get me wrong. But oracles play a big role in my practice as well. So I might show some, I might not. I haven't really decided yet. I'm honestly going to wing this. I'm just going to read the questions and I'm just going to find the first deck that pops into my mind. I have not planned any of this out, and we're going to see what happens, right? Okay. So, our first question is, what is the deck they'll have to pry out of your cold dead hands? Okay, so this is a little hard for me because I feel like there's so many that fit into this. And I feel like it changes, right? Like I feel like this maybe changes every 6 months, possibly. I don't even know. But when I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my collection beside me here, well, the majority of them, there's one in particular that has always dominated the scene for many, many, many years. And I actually have 2 copies of it. It is the Aquarian Tarot for me. So I have the mini travel tin to take it with me when I go places. And I have this one, which this deck is fairly new to me as far as the size. I've had this one for a long time. This one, though, I finally found it in the larger size, which you would think is readily available, but it's honestly not. I had to hunt this down, and I actually had to bring this in from, I believe it came in from UK, because for whatever reason, US games their cards aren't so easy to get in Canada, which I don't know. I don't get it. It's hard to get this kind of stuff in Canada, apparently. I don't know, whatever. But so the Aquarian Tarot is huge for me. So everybody's probably seen the little mini tin. It's super cute. Love it. I'm just going to put it off to the side and we'll look at the big, beautiful cards. Now, this deck, I don't know. I have a thing with vintage decks. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, I think this is the extra card. Yeah, this is the title card. Vintage decks and me have a thing. I love my vintage decks. I don't have a reason. I do. I think that nothing reads like these OGs. And that's just my practice, my opinion, my thoughts. They work so good for me. And I have this like connection to this different time and space. I don't know. This is such a solid reader. It's such a solid deck. I actually connected to this one better than the Morgan Greer. I have the Morgan Greer and I enjoy it. But I don't know. There's something about the Aquarian Tarot. I adore it. I love its artwork. I love the retroness of it. I like that they're supposed to be all like moonlight. The whole thing that the artist, I shouldn't say the artist was trying to capture was the moonlight shining on everything. And that's why everything's kind of like the faces are a little washed out, or aren't as clear. They have like a fogginess to them almost, because it was supposed to look like the moonlight is shining on them, right? There is cards in this deck that I feel are like they're a staple in the tarot world. This sun being one of them, and the lovers from this deck. If we find it, I don't know, we might not run into it. They're infamous. They're so amazing. And like, I don't know. I really enjoy it. I love pairing this deck with Roots and Wings. This is the only card in here that I'm like, why? Like, why didn't you spend a little bit more time on that? He looks drunk. or super stoned. Like it's just this is, and like the cowboy hat, like I don't really know what's going on with that. It makes me want like Arby's because it's like the roast beef like it's like the logo for Arby's, which used to be a cowboy hat, and then they turned it into an oven glove, right? So that goes to show you my age. Um, that's like the only card in this entire deck where I'm like, really, like we could have spent a little bit more time on that. I don't know. I know people think that these can be kind of emotionalist looking figures. I know there's a lot of thoughts and opinions out there about it, but I don't know. This deck is a solid read for me and I love it. And my connection is very deep with it. And I don't think I can live without, like, look at the star. I don't think I can live without a copy of the Aquarian Tarot in my life. I really don't. I think that if this wasn't in my life, I don't know what I would do. I need to have the Aquarian Tarot. It's important to me. There's just so much about it. Like, man, I don't know. I love it. So yeah, that's my number one deck that you would literally have to pry this out of my cold dead hands. It's the Aquarian Tarot. Okay, so the next deck is my guilty pleasure deck. I don't really know how to take this. Like guilty pleasure as in like kind of embarrassed by it, or guilty pleasure as in like I enjoy it far more than I probably should. I don't really know how to take this. I'm gonna go with it in the way of like I'm kind of embarrassed to admit like how much I'm in love with this deck. It's the Zombie Tarot. I love it. I I love it so much. I don't even know what to say other than I really love it. The card stock is not that great. Like it's really cardboardy. Um it's weird, right? But I love it. It is a solid reader. It just delivers amazing messages. I think that it's kind of funny. I don't limit it to Halloween time or fall use. I use it all the time. Um, I really enjoy it. I'm a like I've said in some of my other videos, I love horror movies. The scarier, the better. I actually get really disappointed in a lot of the horror movies nowadays. They're not scary. There's very few horror movies where I'm like, oh man, that was scary. Most of the time they crap out on me, and I just think that they're empty and they aren't, like, the scare factor's just not there anymore. Um, Maybe it's me because I watch too many of them. I'm not really sure. But I love The Walking Dead. I love zombie movies. I love I love all the scary stuff. So this, I mean, obviously answers that for me. I love this High Priestess. I don't know. There's something about this deck. It's my guilty pleasure. I am embarrassed to say that I freaking love this thing, and I never put it into videos, and I always kind of just skip on it because it's weird, like for me to be like, I love the zombie deck. I love the zombie tarot, but I do. It makes me laugh. It's like, I don't know. I love it. I love its book. I love the way it's designed. It's my guilty pleasure. And, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but the zombie tarot is my guilty pleasure. All right, so the number 3 question is, what deck do I wish existed? So I don't know. I've thought a lot about this, and I think it's more like I wish there was better decks that have been created, like the Labyrinth deck by Insight Editions really let me down. And I wish that there was a better one that was released. Um, Hocus Pocus, same thing, Inside Editions. I wish there was just a better one that was created. Honestly, I feel that Like even a Walking Dead deck would be amazing. I don't know. There's enough characters, there's enough things to build off of. I love it. I feel that like there's so many like when you start looking at like the really really good series, Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets is an amazing TV show or series that's on right now. I wish that that had a deck as well too, but not by Insights Editions, by an actual company that's going to give a crap and use proper card stock and do the right things and not just cheap out and make everything pips. Like actual legitimate, like make efforts on these decks. Um, I feel that there's so many. Like I can list off old horror movies. I can list off like American Horror Story. There is enough going on in that you can make a deck on that. There's the Asylum. There's the Covent. There's Renoke. Like there's so many. Like you could make a deck for each one of those. Those would be obviously a little bit more creepier and scarier, but whatever. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot, like really honestly, when you sit down and think about it, and you think about even like the old movies, old movies that are just like staples, like Princess's Bride. Like, why is there not a Princess's Bride tarot? I can go on forever, honestly. I really can. I'll leave it with that. But, you know, I think that there's a lot in movies that can be done that would be amazing. So the fourth question is what deck would you give to a new reader? I feel there's a lot that can fit into this category. The Zombie Tarot is a great beginner's deck. I feel that even the Wildwood has the possibility for being a good beginner's deck just because the book is really good and it's really in depth, right? I feel though at the end of the day, I'm not going to show anything in particular because I feel the great beginner deck for everybody is different. And I feel that if you have that draw, you have that passion, you have that connection with that deck, it doesn't matter if it's an advanced deck or a beginner's deck or a Marseille or a Thoth or a Rider Waite. It's whatever you're drawn to is your beginner deck. Obviously, if you can read Rider Waite, you can read any Rider Waite based decks, and that's the majority. So maybe just the traditional standard Centennial, or a Dirty Pam, a traditional Rider Waite, I guess would be the best. And I have like a million. They're over there, and I don't know. We've all seen them a million times, so there's no point in me bringing it out. But I would pick probably a traditional Rider Waite if I had to pick something. Number 5 is what deck did you want to get along with but just never clicked with? I don't have decks that I don't click with. If I don't click with them, I move them on. This is a really hard one too. Okay, I'm going to bring out. All right, I can think of one. Just give me a second here. Okay, so I'm going to go a different way on this. This is my like first edition of the Wild Unknown Tarot. This is one of my oldest decks besides my Llewellyn. This has been used a lot. Now, the reason why I'm going to say that I've never clicked with this, I have clicked with it, but it took a really, really long time. It sat in my collection for years, years and years and years and years. And I've talked about it in the past where like I feel like I wasn't ready for it. When it came into my collection, it was different. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. It was so abstract and modern and just different. And it was so, everybody was like, whoa, like it was so different. Um, and I grabbed it because I was really drawn to it. But I had a heck of a time connecting with this deck. I honestly couldn't read it. It would leave me frustrated. It would make my head hurt. I couldn't understand the messages it was delivering. I just had so many issues with this deck for many, many years. And I actually put it away. And I didn't touch it for like 5 years, 6 years, a long time. A long time. It just sat on my shelf. And I would look at it and I would think about how I had such a hard time reading it. And I'd walk right by it and go on to other decks or other things or whatever. I had such a hard time clicking with this deck. But then one day, I was like, well, I guess I better check it out or move it on, right? So I pulled it out, started working with it, and it just went crazy on me, and everything made sense. Everything clicked in. It changed. It changed on a level that it is now probably one of my favorite decks. I use it all the time. I absolutely love the artwork. I love everything about it, but we haven't always clicked. And we have spent more time not clicking than clicking because I just recently bonded with this deck the way that I just said I did, only within the last maybe year or 2 years. So whatever was about this deck I wasn't ready for, I am now. So we didn't click for a long time, and now it's one of my favorites. It took years for me to have that bond with it. Okay, so number 6, what deck do you only keep for its art? All right, I don't really know. That one's a hard one. So I'm just going to pick one that I think has amazing, beautiful art. It's the Moonchild. Its art is amazing. It's so gorgeous. I mean, I do like this deck. I love using it. I enjoy it very, very much. I've bonded good with it. I get its messages. I love like the ancient Egyptian stuff. I love the Atlantis stuff. I love all of it, right? It's gorgeous. But this artwork is stunning. It's stunning. And like, let's face it, if you haven't connected with the Rebecca Candle decks and you still have them in your collection, the only reason why you do is for the artwork because they're freaking gorgeous. And that's what it is, right? That's what took me such a long time to move on my Rebecca Campbell decks was the artwork, who is Danielle Noel, and this is her deck, right? So, I mean, her artwork is just out of this world gorgeous. They're beautiful. And I mean, you cannot argue that. You might not connect to this deck. You might not enjoy your readings from it. It might not call to you, but you cannot deny that this artwork is not stunning. And because it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to say, like, even if something happens where I'm not connecting to this deck, let's say further on down the road, it doesn't work for me anymore, which is impossible because, I mean, it has so much ancient Egyptian stuff in it. I mean, like, there's no way that I can't not connect to it. But let's say it didn't. I would keep it for its artwork because it's gorgeous. I feel like, I don't know, it's the artwork on this deck. That's got to be, I think that's what speaks to me the most is just these gorgeous, gorgeous pictures. They're stunning. You can't, I don't know, like I said, you can't deny it. It's the artwork of this deck that calls to most any of her decks, really. And like I said, if you still have Rebecca Campbell decks in your in your collection and you don't use them or enjoy using them, it's because of the artwork. You're keeping it for Danielle Noel's beautiful artwork. I'm not a fan of the man bun, the Knight of Pentacles man bun card. Like I said, some of the court cards don't click with me necessarily, but it's not enough to wreck my experience with the deck. I really do like everything about it. I've said it in the past. The court cards are not age appropriate. Some of them are, but the kings and queens aren't. So yeah, I don't know. This is the deck that you were going to keep around for its artwork, whether you connect with it or not, because it's stunning. So that is the Moonchild. Okay, number 7. What deck did you buy because everyone else did? um, the Deviant Moon. I bought it because everybody else bought it. But I like it. I enjoy it. I've worked with it a little bit. I know some people get like thrown off by the the images and these little weird nighttime creatures, but I don't know. I love them. I like my creepy stuff though, so like I'm okay with that. It's my protector cards. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. I like the Deviant Moon. I like his weird little strange world he's got created. He's great at advertising it and making it a story and just a great he's great at what he does. He has an awesome little world he's created. And there's a lot going on in these cards if you take the time to really dive into them and really to pay attention to what's happening in them. I love how some of these cards he'll show the influence of the moon and how it's influencing that like here, how the moon is like breathing out and it's like obviously because it's and I wonder if it's just the cups. No, see, because this is the swords. But see how it's like the moon is affecting this character. The moon is breathing into this cup. I feel like there's a lot going on in there when it seems to be full moons. So I don't know. I like it. I get it. It's strange. It's bizarre, but I don't know. I like it. It's a good reader. It doesn't hold back. It tells you things pretty straight. Um, I don't know. I've enjoyed my readings with it. I bought it because everybody else had it, and I wanted to see what all the hype was about. So I grabbed it. All right, so number 8. What deck is over your head or just baffles you? I feel like obviously the Wild Unknown could have fit into that category if we were doing this like 3, 4 years ago, but now I'm good with it. If I was to pick a deck that just baffles me, that's kind of over my head, I think it would be this one. And I don't feel it's over my head. It baffles me. I get super confused in this deck. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it. I got this to do dream work, right? It's a great dream working deck, I guess you would say. I'm not even going to pull the whole thing out. This plastic thing is ridiculous, but whatever. It stores them well. The card stock is horrible. We know that. It's these card this like I don't know, like in my opinion, if you're gonna print a deck, use good card stock. If you're gonna make it on crappy card stock, you're just wasting resources. Like make the effort. And if you're not going to, don't do it. But anyways, this is on absolute horrible card stock. But I get lost in this deck and I don't know what the frick's going on. Like, I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand. I mean, it's weird. I like it. I understand it being a dream deck. Like, it's so bizarre. It's bizarre like dreams. But like, Sophia, what card is that? You know what I mean? A Dreamer of the Wands. Some of them are clear Two of Wands, but it's like, well, why is there a bed floating in the sky? How is that Two of Wands energy? I don't know. I get it baffles me. I get confused easy in this deck. I get lost easy in this deck. It's a strange one. It's definitely strange. But I think that's why I mean obviously that's why I keep it is because it's strange like our dreams. Like our dreams are weird. Like this is weird. Like this is the Lover's card. What is happening here? It's freaking strange. I don't get it. So I'm going to say it baffles me. It confuses me. I'm like, what the hell is happening? There's some pictures, like, but this one's cool. Like, that's a cool image, other than the cherub's a little weird. I mean, if you minus him, that'd be really cool, right? I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm moving this on from my collection yet. I don't know if I'm going to continue working with it. I have to refer to the book for this deck when I work with it because I don't get it. But some of the pictures are gorgeous. But then other ones are like, how is this a Five of Swords? I don't know. Like, it's so weird. Like this one. Why is there two people walking up a path like they've gotten married and are standing in front of this great big huge giant dude with a great big huge giant bug in the trees? I don't get it. It's so freaking weird. So I guess that's what baffles me is it's just really strange. And I don't get it. But I keep it. And I don't know why. So I guess if I was to pick a deck that baffles me, it's this one with its horrible cardstock. And that is the Mystical Dream Tarot. All right, so number 9 is what deck surprised you? This one, it's surprised the heck out of me. I was not expecting for it to be as crazy as it is. I've had my little issues with it. We all know what it is. The artwork's too small, but this deck is a good read. It surprised me. It's so intuitive. It's it's amazing. I wasn't expecting for it to be what it is. I was a little harder on it at first. Don't get me wrong. I know that. I was like, ugh, I got a little judgy wudgy on it, but I really like it, and I'm glad that it's part of my collection, and it gives me all the feels, and it delivers amazing messages. It's very intuitive. Like, I can just shuffle it and start asking questions and thinking things, and the amount of jumpers that it jumps out and just starts giving me my messages, like bam, 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 bam. Like, it's so fast and accurate. And I don't know, I really, really like it. I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm glad that I purchased it. It it surprised me. 100% surprised me. I'm a little hard on the modern decks, the decks of nowadays, because I feel that they kind of lack and they don't, I feel like they're slowly getting away from what tarot should be. And, that's why I was kind of hard on this deck right off the get-go, but it surprised me. Wasn't expecting it to do what it did, and I wasn't expecting it to be what it is. So, this is an amazing deck, and I like it a lot. And that is the Black Violet Tarot. So the next question is, what deck doesn't really work for you, but you keep it because it's a collectible? All right, so a few videos ago, I showed you guys my museum quality Visconti. That would definitely fall into this category. But if you watch that video, you know that I had another museum quality deck that was with it. So this would be the deck that doesn't work for me, but I keep it because it's a collectible. I don't really work with it because it is a collectible. It is the Lo Scarabeo museum quality line of this Italian Renaissance deck, right? So it's really quite special. Everybody knows I had mentioned in the previous video, one of the last videos, that my husband bought these two decks for me for Christmas one year, and they're amazing. They're beautiful, but I don't work with them that much because there's a lot to them. The books, look at the book. The book is full of so much stuff, and I love it. So this is a really, really, really old deck too. I'm just trying to see it. I know the Visconti's older. Um, I don't know if it's Busca. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. Came from Milan. And I believe there's dates everywhere, and I'm not spending time reading it. Maybe it says on the back. No, it just says Italian Renaissance. If I got into the book, I could tell you the exact date, but I'm not spending time on that, and that's not what this video is about. So I'm gonna big smudgy fingerprint on it. Just a word of warning. There is some images in this deck that some people might find they're not okay with. This is an old Renaissance deck. The colors are amazing. I don't know what it is about it, but it's crazy cool. So the whole reason why I don't work with it is because one, it's museum quality. Two, I don't know. And this is like, well, here, let me pass that one because that's one that'll probably piss off a lot of people. That's another reason too, because I do pull it out once in a while. I pull it out usually in around Christmas time or just a special time of year when I'm called to it. Don't really care for the backs. I wish the backs were better. I don't really know what they were doing with that, but it's okay. I mean, it's not, I guess it could be worse, right? But there's a lot of figuring stuff out in this deck. There's, the macabres in here a little bit. It comes from a time where things were they were different, right? Like and like I love how, like, because this card obviously has damage on it like this, they even replicated like the damage. But I love the purples. I love the blues. I love the greens and the reds. I don't know. It's just fantastic. I like the artwork, the way it's drawn. It's a really neat deck, honestly. But because of its imagery, sometimes being a little morbid, mostly in the royals, that's why, or not the royals, sorry, the majors, that's why I got past it really fast. They just, I don't use them too often, right? Because of those reasons. It doesn't offend me personally. I understand that this came from a different time frame and that this is just art. So, I mean, it doesn't affect me any, but I do know others it would really bug. So, because I do spend a lot of my time professionally reading, I tend to not use this deck, right? So it kind of gets overlooked. It's not with my other decks. Both these museum qualities are high up on a shelf in, like a cabinet with all of like the ones that are like fancy that I don't really use because they're just, they're worth more, or I feel like, I don't know, whatever. There's nudity in this deck. I guess I should have said that too. And like just weird situations where I'm just like, what is going on here? And it's like a pip, but it's kind of like an illustrated pip at the same time. So I don't know. I think it's really neat. But it does have a slightly different system going on in it. And it's in order. I always keep it in order because I'm like, ugh, like what if I can't remember it's way back through it? You know what I mean? Because there is some cards that just don't necessarily fall into the right category. But I don't know. It's amazing. I love it. So this is my deck that I keep it because it's a collectible. And that is my Sola Busca. All right, so question 11 is, what's your favorite decks? Your favorite gilded deck? Sorry. Okay, I've got one that pops right into my mind. And it's the Sassurabito Tarot. This deck's gilding is gorgeous. Mine's a little scuffed because like I've used it a bunch, right? Like this deck's a heavy user, so it's a little scuffed, right? You can see that. But I mean, it's taken a beating and it's still there and it's so soft. It doesn't have that like weird crusty lip on it, the way that some cards get, but it's like velvet. It feels so nice. This gilding is amazing. It's so beautiful. And it's durable. Like, yeah, it's a little scuffed, right? Like, it's a little scuffed. But at the end of the day, like, for the amount that I use this deck, it's held up. And it's held up really good. That's one of the things that I really like about the Sasrobito is I feel like it's a textile experience. I don't even know if I said textile experience. The cardstock is beautiful. The size is right. This gilding is so soft. And the colors and I don't know, just the way it shuffles, the way it feels. It's an experience. And it's a lovely experience. So that is my favorite gilding is on the Sasrobito. And anything like this. Like I'm trying to think if there's any other decks that I have that has this beautiful gilding. And I don't think I do. I try to not get gilded decks. Like if I have the option to not purchase a gilded deck, I will opt to not purchase the gilded version because I really strongly dislike gilding. So, but when it comes to the gilding that I love, my favorite gilding, it's this. It's a Sasrobito, and anything that's like that gilding, I'm good with. All right, number 12. Which deck do you love but hate the cardstock? I mean, like, honestly, I have so many I can say in this. Zombie Tarot, cardstocks, bleh, but it's not that bad. These two decks right here, let me grab them. And I feel like this is probably going to be on a lot of people's list, but that is the Tarot Ramage Estrange. I love it. But why? Why did you need to make it on such shitty cardstock? It's such a wonderful deck. I love it. I love all of its images. I love so much about this deck. But why? And I mean it's not even that bad. Like it's bad. But it isn't this deck's bad. So let's take a quick look at this. I absolutely love this deck. It's phenomenal. I pre-ordered it. I got it really fast. As a matter of fact, I think I was one of the first videos to post the flip through on this deck. And I love the artwork, love so much about it. But why? Why did you cheap out on this? Like, I just don't get it. This cardstock's better. This is really bad. This mushroom cardstock, Midnight Magic, is horrendous. This one's not even that bad. It actually has like a little bit to it. This is like straight up like index cards, like the stuff you would write your speeches on in grade school. That's what it feels like. It's horrible, but it's such a beautiful deck. Like the imagery is amazing. And, I love that there's like torch lilies and daisies on the wands. There's, harebells and labella on the cups, wheat and not exactly sure what those are supposed to be. Like there's just so much going on it, and it's like I love learning about it. I love diving into the world of mushrooms. I absolutely love mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Mushroom dishes are like my favorite. I don't know where the other one is. Oh, right here, bird of paradise and lavender. Even there might even be a sage. Might be a sage flower. But yeah, like it's amazing, and it's so unfortunate. But luckily it wasn't that much money. It's not that expensive. And I don't understand why why the printer did the creator so dirty. Like, her artwork is stunning. This deck would have been a hit if they spent the time and actually did proper cardstock. And the thing that's irritating me is like, this is a waste of resources. Do you know how many decks just, and like, I mean, a deck it's important. You know you need good cardstock when you make these decks, right? We know that. That's really clear. They had it back in the day. I don't know why it's changed now, but take the time, do the right cardstock, make the deck valuable and last longer and be an experience. Stop doing this. Like, I almost returned this and I was like, no, I'm keeping it because I absolutely love the artwork. Her book is phenomenal. Like, the stuff that she talks about in here. Like, look at the little book, like colored pictures and everything. Like, full size pictures on the majors. Beautiful. But why? Why did you do this? And you know why? Because over here, look at, it's out of focus because my camera's not on autofocus, but it's Simon and Schuster. I just take, I don't know, take the time, make a decent deck. If you're not going to, stop making decks. But yeah, so those are my decks that I love, but hate their card stock. Like, honestly, I would handle this a million times over than this. This is bad. This is bad, but it's not as bad as this. So, I don't know. It's unfortunate. I don't know why they keep doing it. But yeah, so those are the decks that I keep because I love them, but the card stock's horrible. Question 13 is, what deck gives you the willies? I've said this a couple times now. I'm a huge horror fan. I haven't really met a deck that's given me the willies. I don't get the willies. But if I was to pick one, and it's not part of my collection yet, I just haven't gotten the opportunity to purchase it yet. I feel that the Hayworth might kind of give me a little bit of creepy vibes. But and I have to get that deck because the creator's from Detroit and I live in Canada close to the border by Detroit. So, like, I really need to get that deck. I feel though that that deck might give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, but I doubt it. Out of my collection would be this Oracle. So I guess I'm gonna throw in an Oracle. I honestly don't. I mean, like, yeah, like the Hush Tarot, it's got some weird macabre, like strange images and weird things in it. So like I can see like possibly this being something, but to give me the willies, I don't know. Like, things don't really give me the willies, right? But I guess if I was to pick anything that in my collection that I have at this moment in time, it would be the Mildred Payne. Because, like, I don't know. There's nothing else. Oh, it's all out of order. Sorry. These are like these weird little photos. And remember when I said he's really good at um like creating like I don't know. He's just really good at marketing it and doing stuff, right? Like, he's created these crazy photos of like this creepy girl, and they look so real. And it's part of like the Mildred Payne story that he's created around this deck. It's really neat. But there are some images in this deck that would make people uncomfortable, 100%. You know, look at the backs. Backs are super cool. But there definitely is. And, you know, like chopping these plants' heads off and, you know, this demon stealing a child. Like, there's a lot of Just weird stuff. For the most part, this deck is in order because I did do a video with it. But there is parts of it that are not in order. But like, look at this. Look how freaking weird this is. And that's the thing. Like, does it give me the willies? No, not really. It's strange though. But I could see it giving other people the willies. And other people being like, that is weird and creepy. But to me, like, the scenes are weird and creepy, but I don't know. It's like, I guess it's just the drawing style that I don't find it. It doesn't give me the willies. But yeah, it's definitely, it's got some weird stuff like that. Like that's, I can see people having a problem with that. But I don't know. I love this deck. I think it's hilarious. I only use it during the Halloween, like only during Halloween. Only during like the fall weather. It doesn't get used very much at all, which is okay. I mean, it has its place, right? I don't know. I love the artwork. I think it's just phenomenal. It's a really cool deck. But I could see other people not being, being weirded out by it and being like, I don't know, it's creepy. It gives me the willies. I could see that. But I don't know. I really like it. I think it's a cool deck. Or an oracle, I guess you should say. Very intuitive based. I do like doing readings with it. I think it's really interesting. And like, look at this one. It's like they're dancing on his grave. And I like how he does that with the cards. Like, it's neat, eh? But yeah, so I guess that would be, if I was to pick anything that would give me the willies, which, like I said, doesn't really happen, but until I get the Hayworth, I feel like the Hayworth would do it for me. Maybe, possibly, we'll see. But yeah, so it is Mildred Payne of the Mildred Payne Oracle of Black Enchantment. Question number 14 is, what's your favorite deck to do shadow work with? Obviously, the Lantern Oracle. If I was to be picking an Oracle, definitely the Lantern. Um, and then I guess if I was to be picking a Tarot, and I don't think this will surprise anyone because I'm pretty sure this is a lot of people's. I'm going to say the Reclaim Oracle, obviously, but the Dark Goddess too. Both of these decks are shadow working decks. The Reclaim can just bring up stuff that's like, I don't know. I love the Reclaim. It's honestly an amazing deck. Um, but like sometimes it can really trigger things emotionally. A lot of emotional mental space with this deck. But this deck does something completely different. And I don't know, this deck just, and like mine, like if you saw my video on my gold gilding situation, you would know what happened with this and why there's no insides to this box. Um, and because I had to rip the insides out, I put the deck into this beautiful black velvet bag. But this is not a deck that you use for anything else other than when there's a problem. You can't just do a normal tarot card reading with this deck. It doesn't really happen. You can try, but that is totally 100% not what this deck is about. I have the mass market edition with the horrible gilding, but that's okay because what this deck is it's so much more than what the mass market manufacturers did to it. It's amazing. Um, it really caught me off guard. I wasn't really expecting what this deck does to do. It is 100%. I sat down to just do like, I was like, oh, it's new. I'm going to do a reading with it. I sat down to do a reading with it. And I literally 10 minutes later was crying. I was having an emotional day. And this deck, man, what it surfaced and what it brought forth, I was not ready to deal with. I was honestly just sitting down to use it and to do like a normal tarot card spread with it. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, like, are you serious? Like, this is a deck that you would only turn to and use and go to when you have shadow work to do or there is a situation happening that you need to work through. This is a crazy deck. It's I don't even know how to explain it. It's insane. There's something about the stories of these dark goddesses and just the level of misunderstanding that I feel is behind all of their stories. And, you know, I don't know, when I look at these things, I'm like, yeah, okay, she did that, but why did she do that? What did another person do to her to make her react that way, right? Like I see it different. And it is crazy. There's the one card in here that I can't ugh, like the heartbreak that pours through it. I'm gonna just flip through it really fast. I probably already passed it, but like the heartbreak that pours out of this card, I can't even. Yeah, I don't even know where it is. It's in here somewhere. And it's like it was my stalker for like ever. I'm gonna see if I can find it real fast. They're so slippery. These damn high gloss cards. This one here keeps jumping out at me, but it's not the one I was talking about. But this one's always like, I'm like, where are we pointing to? There's something about her pointing that I'm just like, oh, I don't know, it gets to me. Where is it? The amount of heartbreak that exists in this card is right here. Her. Lenora, like La Lenora. It there's just something about this card that reaches like into my heart and just like squeezes it. Sometimes I feel like I can't even breathe looking at this card because there's so much heartbreak in this goddess. I can't. It's just insane to me. This deck blew me away. I was not expecting it. But yeah, so this is definitely a shadow work deck and only a shadow work deck. So, the Dark Goddess Tarot as my shadow deck. All right, so question 15 is what deck do you love in theory but not in practice? It's going to be this one here. And remember when I said I thought the Spacious Tarot was my first indie deck? This one was. 100% this one was. Actually forgot about it because it's buried underneath a whole bunch of stuff. I actually have a hard time using this deck. There is a very specific, like, weird system that goes with this deck. And this is old. Like, I've had this for a long time. But there's a very, so it's considered shadow cards as well. And then you can read the cards. But there's like elemental relationships. It has something to do with chakras too. I'm going to have to get down and read it again one day. But like, it's weird because it has a system that's just really strange to me, and I guess I just haven't sat down and dedicated the time to actually learn it. But it has like these shadow cards, and then it has like earth cards, water cards, fire cards, air, spirit, and celestial. But it gets really weird. Um, so yeah, I actually bought it, tried to use it. Those are the shadow cards. And I was so confused by its system that I put it away. So I guess, I don't know, I guess I need to revisit it maybe and actually sit down and see if I can figure out its system. But it's strange. Like there's like this whole method to it and there's this whole system that the creator has created and it's like I don't get it. It's weird. And like earth of dimensional creating sacred, spirit of earth, bisexual learning, spirit of celestial dream speaking. Like it's so, I don't even know. Like I don't even get it. Earth of water shadow guardian. Like it's weird. Like I said, it's got like this whole like system going on in it, and I don't even get it. Apparently it's supposed to like read your chakra system somehow, which is crazy because I mean, if you guys have read my stuff, or you know, I'm actually I teach Reiki. I'm actually part of the Canadian Reiki Association, and it took me a long time to work to get to that and to have that and to have, and I'm proud that I have that um recognition. But this deck, I'm like, what the hell is going on in here? It doesn't make any damn sense. So I need to get down and honestly, because like if this is actually reading chakras, like I actually can probably utilize it and actually, use it in like my sessions and stuff. Because not only do I teach, but I still practice. I'm still a Reiki practitioner. I teach Reiki. I do tarot card readings. I do all kinds of stuff. Like, um, so if I can like figure out how to use this and understand its system, which is so freaking confusing, I might actually be able to use it in a session. So yeah, I have no idea what the hell's going on in this thing. And it confuses me. Even just looking at it right now, I'm like, oh my God, my brain hurts. So if I was to pick a deck that, let me get back to my list, that I love in theory, but not in practice, because I love the thoughts of this. I love the fact that there's like shadow cards and there's like this kind of reads into like the chakra system. I love that, but I don't understand how to do it. It's so confusing. So I guess that's my one for that. All right, so number 16 is, what deck would you never use to read for someone else? I got tons. There's a bunch of decks that I would never use to read for someone else. But I'm gonna say like my most definite big like no, like not happening, would never ever even imagine or fathom dreaming to use this for another person, to be Barbara Walker. It's it's feisty. Like it has a lot to say and is, it can serve it to you big time. And I mean, the images are some of them are a little inappropriate too. But this deck, I feel, I don't know, man. This is a deck that I really honestly don't think that I would use to read for anybody else. One, it's too small. Two, it can be really mean. Like honestly, like and I laugh because it makes me laugh. And I'm just like, when I do readings with this, I'm just like, damn, really? Did you need to come at me like that? Like, you could have maybe made it a little nicer. But it's not going to be. Barbara's gonna just, bitch slap you and be like, it's sassy. It's feisty. It's got, I mean, he'll give it to you. But I feel like this is probably in a lot of people's videos, and I mean, unless they don't own it, but like I don't like, I really honestly wouldn't use this with anyone else because I would just be like, I'm sorry, but like, could you imagine sitting down and having like the meanest tarot card reading of your life, and pay somebody for it? Like, because I kind of feel like that's what this would do. Um, I enjoy it. I like the fact that it doesn't sugarcoat. I like the fact that it doesn't. it doesn't shy away from you, a problem, a situation, nothing. And I mean, I give it mad props for that. So I love Barbara. Barbara's like, I absolutely love Barbara. She's one of my favorites. I do. I love her. Um, it's just, it kills me. And I mean, like I said, some of the images aren't the nicest either. So, I mean, it's not necessarily um, one of those decks that I would be like, hey, you want a Barbara Walker reading? I feel like that's, I guess that's why I have insurance, right? Could you imagine? Yeah, so no. This is a deck I would never use to read with anyone else. I do have a few other ones though, but this is like, yeah, and not ever going to happen. Okay, so question 17 is what deck would you never use for yourself? Now, it's not that I wouldn't use the deck for myself, but I have a deck that is very specific and it is for tarot card readings with customers only. I do not use it with myself because it's not for me. I specifically bought it for customers. And it's these ones right here. So this one is just like it's your Centennial. The Centennial. I use this strictly for my customers only, but I do use it for myself. I will go to this once in a while. But these other two are 100%. I use them for customers and customers only. Now, these are old silk scarves from my grandma. When she passed away, I got some of her old scarves. So this is like a dirty Pam. So this is the one I use for readings with my customers only. I never ever use it for myself. It's a really interesting cardstock. You could probably wipe it down, to tell you the truth, if somebody touched it and was handling it. But yeah, like this is, I only read with this for my customers. I do not use it on myself at all. So it's just like your typical writer, right? And then the other one is out of print, and I probably actually should stop using it. For the longest time, it sat and was for me and me only, this deck. I never used it for anyone else. But then it went back to being readings for people. But this one kind of takes the bigger, like, I do more with this one than this one now. This one's because it's starting to really wear, and it's starting to kind of, I don't know, it's starting to bow. It's got like, it's not really picking up, but it's got a lot of wear and tear on it. Like a lot of the edging is all gone on it. So it's starting to have seen better days. So I'm thinking that I'm probably going to retire it from working with customers, and it's going to now go back to just working with me. And I'll reset it and cleanse it and do all that stuff so that it becomes just mine again. Because it's starting to wear and tear and see, and it's got beautiful gold. Like, look at all the gold on it. It's super pretty. But yeah, so if I use them with my customers, I don't read them with them myself. But this one, like I said, went from just mine to just customers, and now I'm going to retire it and I'm going to put it back to just mine again because it's out of print. It's a beautiful deck, and it's starting to wear. So, and I edged it to try to hide the chipped cards, but I feel like is it done bleeding now? No, it's still bleeding. Like, it's still bleeding. So that's the other thing too, is like, see, it's like getting black marker on my fingers. So whatever marker I used for that, and I don't even remember what it was, but it did not react very well. It's not horrible, but it's not the greatest. But so that's just like my traditional, this is my dirty Pam. It's for customers, it's not for me. Okay, question number 18 is what deck could you not bring yourself to buy? Well, I just recently mentioned what deck that was. And it's not for anything other than the price point, and that is the Ritual Tarot. I cannot fathom spending almost $200 on one deck. That is absolutely insane and absolutely ridiculous, and that is why I don't have it, and I won't have it until something price-wise is done about that because that's insane. Like $200 on one deck? Absolutely not. I have museum quality decks that didn't even cost that. The Story Medicine deck, that one's almost $200 too, and I don't have that one. But that one I can understand uh kind of why it's at that price point. But I feel like even that's out of this world. And I think a lot of the time is that these people just don't realize that if you want it to sell in other countries, you have to really pay attention to the price that you're putting on it. Unfortunately, they neither one of those will be in my collection until, you know, something happens, whether I find like a used copy or like a seconds copy, or the person who's created the deck has realized, how expensive it is and how unattainable it is for the majority, and changes the price, right? So I don't know. It is what it is. But those are the two decks that won't be in my collection anytime soon, and it's not because they're not phenomenal decks, but it's because of their price point. Question 19 is what is your favorite Pip deck? Oh man, I've got some favorites. I've got some really good ones. Antique Anatomy, obviously that one, right? So I guess when it comes down to Pip decks, I'm gonna say Teeny Tiny Tarot. I love it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's one of my favorites. And then this one. And I guess like I think I'd consider this a Pip deck, right? But I do. I really like this one. The Wanderer's Tarot is fantastic. I saw that there's a white edition of this, and I thought that was really cool. But I've got the black one, and I like it. I'm good with it. But I do. I like it. I like its readings. I like what it has to say. Um, it's really good for like a couple different things. It doesn't have the greatest of gilding. Like it's got that silver gilding, which is cool. It's not horrible, but it's not the best. But I don't really care. I really like this deck and I enjoy my readings with it. I like pairing it with like other darker decks. Um, it works really, really good. And see, like it's got schmutz on it because I was using it. I'm not even scratched off because I don't want to scratch my card. But yeah, they're heavy users when they have crap on the cards because you've used them and you've put them down on a table, or you've sneezed on them, or your cats did something to them because you use them, right? So this is one that I do use quite a bit. There's like fingerprints. Can you see the fingerprints? See the fingerprints all over them? Right there. You can barely see it. But yeah, I use it a lot. That's the only thing that sucks with like shiny black cards is you get the fingerprints. But I don't know. I really like it. I use this for new moon work. I use this for in the winter months. I really enjoy it. So the Darker Days Tarot and this one compete for that same kind of um they kind of do the same thing in my collection, but I go to this one way more. Darker Days Tarot is one that I actually have kind of had a hard time bonding with it. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it. It's beautiful. But I go to this one. So I don't know what we're going to do with the dark days. I might end up moving it on. We'll see. I really like this. I like how open it is. I like how it's just like, I don't know, like you can just put whatever you want into it. Like it works for me. I like it. But yeah, if I was to pick one to be my favorite pip, it would be this one. And that is the very slippery Wanderer's Tarot. Okay, so question 20 is what deck slaps you with the truth? Well, obviously the Barbara Walker, but I've already showed it to you. So I'm going to pick another one that slaps you with the truth and is quite like, psh, like, hello. It gets pretty crazy. I don't know. And that is the the Sunning Tarot, 4th edition. This deck don't play no games. I actually find it very similar to Barbara, and it packs some powerful punches, and it tells you the truth. It tells it like it is. I mean, I have so many decks that tell me the truth and tell me like it is, right? But this one is like kind of more like Barbara Walker, where it's like, bam, like you better pay attention. Like, look at this and what's going on. Another one that's actually really good too is my Forhexa. And the funny thing is the Forhexa is one of my favorite decks. And the reason why I never show it and I never talk about it is because it resides in my bedroom next to my bed. And I use it all the time. And that I always forget about it when I do these videos because it's not even in the same space. So I don't see it and I don't think about it. But the for Hexa, that'll tell you the truth, man. It will say what it has to say and it'll give it to you. But its delivery is a little bit nicer, right? Where I find the Stunning has a very similar energy as Barbara. And, it can be a little snippy. It's feisty and it's not afraid to be like, hey, this is why you're there. This is what you're going to do about it. And this is what's going to happen after you do something about it. So I don't know. I really do. And I love this deck. I've already did a video on this and I talked about how this deck was a game changer to me because I have the 2nd edition, 3rd edition. I can't remember which one I have. I think it's the 2nd edition. And it's the one that's little. And it's horrible. I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna move it on or not because I'm just like, I've got this now. This is more than enough. This is all the Stunning Tarot I need. And I love it. And I absolutely love, like, look at that card. Love this deck. But this deck is straightforward. It tells me the truth. It says what it needs to say, and it does not hold back. And it says what needs to be said, and it's not afraid. And I love it. So this is the deck I would go to for the truth. And that is the Stunning Tarot. All right, so last but not least is question 21. What's the deck that got away? Okay, so the Stunning Tarot was a deck that got away, but then I got it, so we're good. The USA Yaus was another deck that got away from me, and I chased for a little bit, and then I finally got my hands on it. So that's another one. But right now, the one that's like, I want it, and I want it so freaking bad, and I don't know if it's going to come back out to print. I hope that it does. And I think a couple people have mentioned it now at this point, but that is, so I've got two. One is the Tarot of the Crown. I want that so bad, and I don't know if it'll ever be released again. I really hope that it does. And the other one is the Solera Occulto, but I believe I follow her on Instagram. I think it's coming around again. I'm pretty sure she just announced that it's coming out again, and I'm like, I have to get it. So, like, I'm saving up money and I'm like not saving up money, but putting money aside. And I'm like, this is for the Solera when it comes out because I'm like, I want it. And the other one that I totally passed up on too was the Mercury Salt and Sulfur Oracle that went with it as well. I had opportunity. I was looking right at it and I was like, no, I'll get it a different time. And then I regretted it so bad. So those are my two. They're like my unicorn decks. They're like the two decks that I'm like, please, 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 I really, really want someday. More the Tarot of the Crown, but the Solera, definitely. I'm like, I need that. I want that. But it's looking like that's going to come true, hopefully. But Tarot of the Crown, I don't know. We'll see. I doubt that it'll even come around ever again, but maybe. I'm hoping so because I really want it. Well, that was my 21 tarot questions. I cheated a little bit. There was an oracle here or there, but not that much. Um, but I don't know. I want to throw them in because, like, honestly, like I said, they're a big, huge part of my practice. So I feel like I gotta throw them in once in a while. That is my 21 questions. Thanks for joining in. Like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And like I always say, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Thank you.